Greetings and welcome to our first edition of News and Gossip du Jour from the folks that bring you the No Baggage Attached podcast. If you couldn't tell by the different intro, we are a short news and gossip segment featuring, you guessed it, news and most importantly gossip from this week in the genre world. Now I turn it over to your host, Ben Raggington.
Well, it is amazing how things change so quickly. We here at No Baggage Attached have learned that the third film in the latest Spider-Man franchise has been pushed back to an undetermined date in 2017. Now, given that The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has earned about $50 million less than its predecessor, it is possible that Sony Studios might be having second thoughts regarding their handling of this franchise as well as how to possibly make these movies better. Now, it is believed that Sony was hoping for something that they could stand against the enormous successes of the Marvel movie franchises, especially against Captain America the Winter Soldier. And even though the movie did gross $700 million worldwide, the general reviews and audience reception of this latest Spidey film was less than, shall we say, enthusiastic, from people complaining about lack of proper character development, having too many villains, to simply being a garbage heap of a film. Now, with Sony taking a second look at how to fix this mess, is it possible that maybe we'll see a push in the release of the Sinister Six as a means to save the franchise? Now, in the world of possible damage control news, Warner Brothers has announced plans for their DC Comics movie franchise, starting a brief ramp-up of movies, including Batman vs. Superman, Shazam, which I will address later, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt's adaptation of Sandman. And all of these will then lead into the big Justice League movie that DC is pinning all of their hopes and unicorn tears on. This will then be followed with a more set of introductory movies such as Wonder Woman, a Flash and Green Lantern team-up, which will not have Ryan Reynolds, and then a direct sequel to the first movie, Man of Steel, aptly named Man of Steel 2. Well, there's originality for you. Now, there are two issues which have many comic book movie fans concerned. The first being the already established TV universe with Arrow and the upcoming series The Flash. Arrow has taken a great deal of time to properly develop its characters, especially that of Green Arrow himself, Oliver Queen. Stephen Amell has become increasingly popular because of his work and dedication to the character. Likewise, Grant Gustin tested very positively with the studio executives in his role as Barry Allen, and he has that upbeat quality which is needed for the Scarlet Speedster. Given that the Justice League movie is slated for a 2017 release date, we would by then have just as much exposure to the CW's The Flash as we currently have had with The Arrow. Now, would it be wise for Warner Brothers to jettison two beloved TV superhero characters in favor of rebooted characters for their movie franchise and risk alienating an already built-in group of fans? Also of concern is the timetable in which these movies would come out. While Marvel has taken their time in releasing individual movies, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, which then led up to the Avengers, Warner Brothers has decided to practically inundate the movie-going audience by releasing an average of 3 movies a year, and most of those movies having more than one superhero at a time. As No Baggage Attached listener LeJohn from Chandler pointed out, crossover films in the same year could have a detrimental effect on the film's box office. Marvel spaced their movies out to build up hype, but is Warner Brothers merely playing catch-up? Now, in the is it news or is it merely rumor category, it has been reported that Jason Momoa, who people will remember as Ronan in Stargate Atlantis and more recently as Khal Drogo in the first season of HBO's Game of Thrones, has been cast to play the role of Aquaman in the upcoming movie Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. It had been heavily rumored for some time now that Momoa had been cast in some role in the upcoming Bats vs. Supes film, and apparently a lot of people are asking if he had been cast to play Aquaman in the new movie. Well, while Warner Brothers has not made an official announcement regarding this news, There are some websites confirming this bit of casting, and they've even gone so far as to say that Zack Snyder has already finalized the design plans for the character, and so that production on this movie can soon begin. Now, there are plenty of rumors running about as to how he will fit into this movie, including one that has Aquaman plenty upset with Superman over the destruction that occurred with his battle against General Zod in Man of Steel. And in a move that some might consider heavily borrowing from Marvel's playbook, his appearance in Batman vs. Superman will only be a small introduction, then to be followed up with a bigger part once Zack Snyder can turn his attention to the Justice League movie. All of this resembling Samuel L. Jackson's introduction as Nick Fury in Iron Man. Now, hot off the presses is the announcement that Brian Cogman, the writer, story editor, producer, and all-around renaissance man of HBO's Game of Thrones, has signed on for a new fantasy-themed movie in the form of Magic: The Gathering. Now, this was a popular card game in its day, which eventually branched out to PCs and game consoles. Little else is known about the nature of this fantasy-themed movie, except to say that it would be wise not to get attached to any of the characters, because all we know is that this will be in the form of, not an actual screen adaptation. Of course, that could all change, as many things in Hollywood do, and given the type of sadistic stories he likes to bring to the small screen, we are sure there is a reason why Cogman has picked a game with endlessly brutal storylines. Lastly, in the world of rumors that never seem to go away, professional wrestler turned actor Dwayne Johnson saw his name once again surface regarding his involvement in the upcoming movie Shazam. Now, while The Rock himself has been for several years hinting at some mystery role in a DC Comics movie, the fact that a Shazam film is to be made seems to indicate a great starring vehicle for Johnson to be in. And even though many people are linking him to the role of Captain Marvel, Johnson has stated on more than one occasion that the role he would very much like to play, and is most likely to be cast as, is that of Black Adam. Johnson likes to play characters who are more than just two-dimensional, and Black Adam certainly fits the bill. A character who originally started off as Captain Marvel's nemesis, he does later go on to become an anti-hero in the DC Universe, and this is a role that Johnson is more than suited to play. Now, before I go, I just want to point you to our website, NoBaggageAttached.com, where you can find various news articles regarding upcoming movies and TV shows, as well as some excellently written book reviews by our own Brian Brown and Michael Hickerson, covering books like Red Rising by Pierce Brown, Pandemic by Scott Sigler, and Suffer the Children by Craig DeLuise. You can also find movie reviews, including one on the recently released movie Godzilla, written by yours truly. We welcome feedback of all sorts. What are your thoughts about some of these stories that have been covered? Do you think that Jason Momoa is a good idea for Aquaman? What about Warner Brothers' plans for their DC franchise? You can post your own comments to the articles that appear on our website, NoBaggageAttached.com, as well as follow us on our Facebook at facebook.com/NoBaggageAttached, and you can follow us on Twitter at NoBaggageAttach. And if you're listening to us on our YouTube channel, please feel free to leave a comment below. So, for Keith Lane, this is Ben Raggington from No Baggage Attached Podcast saying cheers.